Ever heard a voice from the past that was not supposed to be there? Let's dive in. Hey, I'm Allie, your resident ghost chaser, collector of haunted VHS players and, general lover of weird audio stories.
And I am Brianne, trained psychologist, professional skeptic, and the one who unplugs Allie's haunted VHS so it cannot set the flat on fire. Sorry, not sorry.
We're glad you're here. Welcome to the Veil, unsolved and unbelievable. Okay, so check this out. Today I want to talk about Ducky's Echo. My theory. I believe there are late-night audio anomalies in 2 animated films that still carry the voice of a child star who never got to see her premieres. Judith Barsi.
Conspiracy alert. You're telling me cartoon ducks are haunted now?
Not haunted. Echoed. There is a difference. And yeah, it is bananas, but seriously though, hear me out. Here is what went down. Judith Eva Barsi was born in Los Angeles County in 1978. Her mom, Maria, saw her spark early. By 5, she was acting, and by 4th grade, she was reportedly earning around $100,000 a year. Enough for the family to buy a 3-bedroom place in West Hills. Isn't that bananas?
Financial success at 10, and of course the industry cast her younger than she was because she was petite. Her short stature meant she could play 7 or 8 while actually being older. Practical, but not exactly gentle on a kid's life.
Totally. She did over 70 commercials and a bunch of TV. The Twilight Zone, Punky Brewster, Cheers, Knots Landing, and even Jaws the Revenge in 1987. Then came the big ones. She voiced Ducky in The Land Before Time, and Anne-Marie in All Dogs Go to Heaven. Don Bluth called her absolutely astonishing. He said she understood really sophisticated direction and wanted to keep working with her. She had that rare thing, a voice that felt like sunlight, then sincerity, then a catch in your throat.
And the home situation. We cannot skip it. Her father, Joseph, reportedly made escalating threats. There was a police call in December 1986 with no visible injuries and no charges filed. Later, in May 1988, a child psychologist flagged severe physical and emotional abuse after Judith broke down in front of her agent. CPS got involved, then closed the case after Maria said she would divorce and had rented a daytime haven apartment in Panorama City. These are the maddening gaps in the system.
Yeah. Friends urged Maria to leave. She hesitated, worried about losing the house and belongings. Then, late July 1988, the worst happened. Police later determined Joseph shot Maria in the hallway and Judith in her bed. A flammable liquid was poured on their bodies. He died by a self-inflicted gunshot in the garage. There's even a confusing timeline. A neighbor reported a gunshot on the morning of the 27th, but the official date given for Judith is the 25th. It is heartbreak top to bottom.
And then the films came out. The Land Before Time in November 1988, and All Dogs Go to Heaven in 1989. So audiences heard her voice posthumously, heavy and beautiful at once.
All right, moving on. Ducky's Echo. My personal theory goes like this. In certain scenes in those films, usually moments of hope, rescue, or farewell, if you play them late at night on older gear, you sometimes get timing slips. A whisper of her line just ahead or behind, like the performance remembering itself.
Oh, like an old VCR doing VCR things. Just saying.
Picture a graveyard shift studio at 2 a.m. The deck is purring, timecode churring. You roll an old tape of The Land Before Time. First pass, a line is a hair late. You rewind and it's perfect. You smile at your own brain. On the third pass, a breath, like a harmony, lifts under her main line. You solo the dialogue stem, nothing extra, clean. You bounce it to a fresh file. No spike, no phantom track. But in the room, just in the room, a fraction of a second carries a second intention. Brighter than a breath, softer than a word.
Okay, technical hat on. VHS print-through, head misalignment, wow and flutter, tape stretch, PAL to NTSC conversion drift if you have a multi-standard deck. Playback head dirty. Azimuth misaligned by a degree. Psychoacoustics filling the gap. Pick your poison.
So then you try All Dogs Go to Heaven in a different room with new cables and cleaned heads. You cue a scene where Anne-Marie reaches for safety, for a future. You hear it again, slightly ahead this time. Two versions of the same hope stepping on each other's toes. You cannot print it, but your ears insist.
Expectation effect. We know her story. We bring grief to the listen. When you know the voice belongs to a child who was killed before the premiere, the brain is primed to find echoes. It is not deceit. It is being human.
Collectors swear they hear whispers on battered thrift store tapes, like the second reading only appearing if you run the same scene 3 times in a row, late, when the room is tired. And look, I get it, this is fringe. But Dawn Bluth said she was rare. She took direction like someone twice her age. Performances like that feel layered. Maybe the layers sometimes separate when machines get moody.
Or maybe old tapes hiss, capacitors hum, monitors ring. Your noise floor messes with perception, and your brain imposes meaning. Also, there's zero official record of odd mixes or print masters with unexplained artifacts. If it were repeatable, engineers would have documented it.
Right. No memos, no stamped paranormal stems. But the rooms talk, you know. I'm not saying film carries ghosts. I'm saying sometimes a voice that powerful refracts. Memory plus magnetized tape. Grief plus great art. On certain nights, it sounds like she's still trying to say one more line.
Let's put a pin in the romance and get practical. If you think you're hearing Ducky's echo, play the same timestamp on a clean digital source, then on a second device. If the artifact persists across chains, we can talk. If it vanishes, congratulations, you've just met head drift and confirmation bias.
Okay, next up. But if it does persist for you, email us. Timecode, device, the whole setup. I want patterns. I want to know if those moments really cluster around rescue and goodbye beats, because that would be, wild.
Moving right along. The point is, whether or not you hear echoes, her work stands. Ducky in 1988 and Anne-Marie in 1989, both released after she was gone. And that alone is more than enough to feel uncanny without any VHS demons.
Here's the big question I cannot shake. Can a great performance transcend time and technology so much that it feels present? Like it refuses to end?
For reading more, check the Los Angeles Times coverage from July 1988 for contemporaneous reporting on the case. Then revisit The Land Before Time and All Dogs Go to Heaven, alongside any available interviews from Dawn Bluth. Context matters.
All right, moving on. I'm going to spend the rest of my day re-cleaning my VCR heads and, arguing with Brianne about Azimuth again.
I'm making tea and labeling all of Allie's tapes. Do not accept ghosts. Consider this preventative care.
Thanks for listening. If you have heard Ducky's echo, or if you have a cleaner debunk than Brianne's, send it our way. Question everything. Especially the hum in the room.
Stay curious. Stay kind to your gear. And we will see you next time on The Veil.